you guys are super clear that you're not trying to be all things to all people. You're trying to be one thing, right? Like sales and marketing for this specific gym owner, right? Like not the guys that are just starting out that don't have anything. It's like we've got a foundation, built that we can start stacking on top of. Otherwise, it's a house of cards just waiting to get blown over.
You're an inspiration to our entire organization.
Welcome to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast. We're going to be talking the done-for-you marketing and sales strategies proven to work with boutique fitness gyms to increase quality lead flow and grow your revenue. Don't try to be a professional marketer and waste tons of money. Let the experts at Lasso do it for you. And now, here are your hosts, Blake Ruff and Sherman Merritt.
All right, guys, here we go. Another episode of Gym Marketing Made Simple with Blake and Sherman. Guys, today have a special guest, longtime friend, longtime gym owner, longtime mentor, Josh Martin. First of all, Josh, thanks for hanging out with us, buddy. We know everyone's time is important.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, I know. It's been a minute. But we're going to catch up now. So That's right. All good. So Josh, first of all, give us a little, for someone that's listening and they don't know you, like, who is this Josh Martin guy? Like, who is it? Sort of give us a little rundown as far as, let's start with the gym ownership and then where you sort of took that to. Because I know, we'll start off, guys. So gym owner, mentor, coaching Jedi. So let's start from there.
So it started with me coaching. So I've been coaching. This year marks 22 years that I've been in the coaching space. I opened my gym back in 2011. So I owned my gym for 12 years. Amongst that time, I became a mentor for other gym owners and still doing that to this day, still love it. But in the midst of doing that, one of the things that I discovered is that as we improved people's businesses, the pendulum swung that way and the delivery of the actual service to coaching dropped. And so it just kind of necessitated what I do now, which is coaching coaches. And so I've been doing that through my company, The Refined Art of Coaching, since 2019 now.
Okay, gotcha. Yep, The Refined Art of Coaching. It's cool to see you still doing that because obviously we've known each other for a while. And I remember when this thing wasn't even it was nothing. I remember you were talking about doing it, and now it's a thing. So that's good. So first, let's talk about you recently sold your gym, right? You recently sold your gym. I think that's a big one that I like to talk about having exited gym ownership this year as well. So tell me this. I know you said you had the gym for 12 years. How was the exit? Was it a smooth transition for you? Was it bittersweet? Was it totally sweet? Sort of walk me through that.
Yeah, man. So I really haven't told this story a whole lot openly. I've had a ton of conversations privately with people that have just asked me, other gym owners and obviously clients from the past. But so we had a partner or a sublease partner join our gym probably about like 7 or 8 years ago by the name of Exos. They're a big sports performance company. And I happened to know the president of the company at that time. And he said, "Hey, would you ever want physical therapy and sports med to be a part of your facility?" And I was like, "Sure, I would absolutely love that." So they were a phenomenal partner. Couldn't imagine anything better there. And as we were coming to the tail end of last year, 2023, I just started having conversations with them. My wife and I were talking and thought that it was kind of our time to move to the next chapter of what we wanted to do with our family and our lives. And so I had conversation with them and they're like, why don't we just buy it from you? I was like, okay, great. And it's like nothing else that I've talked with other gym owners about. It was super smooth. It was just like handshake, high five, and that's about how nice the whole transition was. And they gave me an opportunity. They said, "Look, we know you love to coach," which I still do. They said, "You can still coach as much as you want." And so I still do at the gym, not because I have to, but just because I love to do it so much. And so I only focus on coaching youth and sports performance now. But it's not at my gym. It's just at the gym that I used to own, which is phenomenal. So I still get the touch with that. And I don't think that it was bittersweet. I think that it was much more so on the sweet side, just because I was very comfortable, felt like I had done what I wanted to do, and was ready to kind of move into the next chapter of life.
Yeah. No. That's great to hear. That's definitely a smooth transition because we've heard some horror stories about selling
Yes.
gyms and all of that stuff. So no, I'm happy for you, man. I know, I've only been, I hate to say it, I've only been to your gym once. And that was when I was working
Yeah.
down there helping the gym, helping your coaches with sales training and stuff like that, still doing that today. But I remember being at your gym, and I remember your coaches really being tuned into and asking like great questions in the sense that I could tell they wanted to get better, right? And that's just, so many times that's not the case. When we're talking and dealing with gym owners, they're like, oh, I have some people, but they don't really want to do it. And all your coaches, I remember, they were just like, even the ones that were sort of new to it, they're like, oh, I don't know a lot, but like, I want to help the team. I want to get better. And the questions and, that time was like very cool for me. And, I remember leaving there saying, man, I could do this like full time, right? Like I could go around and train gyms. And then I thought about all the travel and said, nah, I don't want to do it that bad. But yeah, that's good. All right. So tell me this. Today, you're dealing with the refined art of coaching and you're
Hmm.
still mentoring, right? You're
Yep.
still mentoring.
Yep.
So tell me this. Being a mentor, you get access to hundreds, thousands of gyms. What are some of the sort of primary struggles that you see with most gyms when they start working with you as far as mentoring goes?
So I would say that the vast majority of them just they don't have things systematized. And that could be anything, right? That could be a system for how I find, hire, train, and manage my coaches, how I onboard my clients, how I do the sales conversation, how I do marketing, or how I think about marketing. But just there's nothing systematized. And I don't know if you guys can remember, relate to this, like being gym owners, but I certainly can, where especially very early on, nobody can do it like you. Like everything is in your head. And I didn't want to spend the time when I was early on in gym ownership. I didn't want to spend the time to teach somebody else that probably wasn't going to do it quite as good as I could. Or that's the belief that I had, until I finally had somebody that was mentoring me that was like, no, no, no. If you actually want to grow and not be the only one doing all the things, this is the investment that you have to make. So for me, it's just having stuff down on paper that somebody can actually look at and follow a system and process to do. That's like the glaring weakness that I see.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can, we don't mentor gyms, but I will say our best clients are definitely clients that have gone through some type of mentoring or have a real business sort of acumen background because they have these systems and stuff in place. And then when they work with us, it's basically just putting gas on the flame and helping them get to the next level. But, like with the sort of growth of this company, we're really particular about who we work with because if someone starts with us and they don't have really systems in place and stuff like that, we're only going to like, yes, we'll still be able to help them grow, but it is going to be a much harder process for them because, in the beginning, starting this out, it was just like, oh, I just want to grow. We are like, all right, we want to help anyone. Obviously, this is a new company.
Mm.
So we were dealing with folks that we definitely shouldn't have worked with, but we're trying to grow a company, so we're going to help them in the beginning. And this gym, specific gym, they would have a huge retention problem, or they wouldn't have any processes for their coaches, or they didn't have anything lined up for the sales conversations. And it was just they were drowning. Yes, they were getting more members. Yes, they were getting more leads, but they were losing just as many, or they were dropping the ball on just as many. And we were just like, oh, we really need to start going after these gyms that have their sort of business together. So I'm glad that you're still helping mentoring gyms, man. Keep it up so we can keep helping them.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you say that because in some of the very first conversations I can remember having with gyms, and they'll come and say, "Man, I got to grow. I need more members," and I'll ask them like, "Hey, if I dropped 20 members into your facility today, would you guys be able to take care of them and onboard them?" And 100% of the time, the answer is no. Because the story that I like to tell is it's like I'm introducing all these people into your business, but your back door is wide open, and everyone's just going to continue to walk on out of it. So let's shore up some systems first, and then to your point, pour gasoline on the fire through really good sales and marketing.
Yeah, no, I think again, man, having been specifically doing this for the last 4 years or so, I can't overemphasize that enough to our listeners. Like we want to work with you, right? We really do. But you want to make sure that you are prepared for growth, right? Like, there's some gyms come to us, they reach out to us. We're always going to talk to everyone, right? So even if you're
Sure.
not a great fit, we're still going to jump on a call and talk to you and get to know you because I like people, right? So I want to
Mm-hmm.
talk anyway. So even if they're not going to work with us, we're still going to talk to you. But some gyms come to us and like, I mean, believe it or not, in 2024, there are still gyms that don't have a CRM. So, and I'm just like, how are you managing these people? Pull out the old trusty Google sheet. I'm just like, well, listen, like like that's not like yes, you can manage a few people with a Google
Yeah.
sheet, but
Yeah.
not a lot of people consistently, right? Because we know these people need to be, nurtured long term, and you just can't do that with the Google sheet. Like you just can't. Um,
I'm curious. What do you tell these people when they're not a good fit?
yeah, I mean, you know me well enough. I just say, hey, I don't think you're a good fit right now. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
when things get a little bit better for you, or you get these things tidied up, let's come back to us, or we'll follow up in a year with you to sort of check on you. Because, and like, here's the thing, though. I think unlike other marketing companies, I shouldn't even say that. I don't know what a lot of other marketing companies do. Like with us being specifically targeted in the gym space in this. Um, it goes a long way, right? People saying that, hey, we're being honest, they're just not trying to take our money. Yes, we want to make money. I like money, but at the same time, it does us no good to get someone on board that we know they're not ready. And then what is going to happen in 2 or 3 months? They're going to be frustrated. Their business it may be a little bit bigger, but now they got bigger problems. And it's just like, we just can't do it. And you'll be like, I was surprised in the beginning how many people were like, hey, I really appreciate that. Like, I really want to work with you guys. But I get what you're saying. Like, I'm not ready yet. So we're going to try to get some things together and then come back to you. But yeah, I tell them they're not ready, but I do it in a nice way because I'm a nice guy.
Now, I'll never, you talk about the time you came down to my gym to do some sales training. I remember you teaching our coaches about the be back bus, which it never be back. So it makes me wonder, you're putting these people on the be back bus.
Correct.
Do you see people that go out and get the systems and stuff like in place and then come back and they're ready for you
Uh,
guys now?
Rarely,
Okay.
if I'm being honest. I would
Yeah.
say probably, Blake, what would you say? I would say probably 10 to 20%, right?
Okay.
Because it's already not a lot of people. And then, yeah, I would say 10 to 20% will do what they need to do, get to this point, and then come back. Like, oh, you remember we talked to you 12, 18 months ago. We're ready now. Oh, this is good. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Most people, though, when you send them off, no, they're not coming back because they're not serious enough about getting their business to that next point. Like, they don't want to do all the hard stuff. They just want more people.
Yeah.
Or yeah, and it's not like their problem goes away, right? Like we always have problems getting leads. Like everybody has that problem mostly, right? I want to grow in business. I think gym owners specifically, it's like when people, quit your gym, it's hard for them to put down their ego sometime and come back and realize they're not doing it on their own as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I think that's a big part. Josh, I have a question for you though. So with the coaching, obviously, tell us more so like I think it might be black and white, maybe not, of how that helps retention. But how do you feel like what you do helps grow the business, obviously in the retention, but is there anything else that like I'm not thinking about, right? Because obviously retention is a huge thing if you're providing better coaching. And I guess another question is, there's a kind of thing that like a lot of people are like, and if I'm just transparent, I think a lot of people, you could be an amazing level 1 coach,
Yeah.
probably just as good as a level 4, and people don't really care about the certifications.
Yeah.
And so what part, this is a better question, what part of coaching really attributes to being a great coach?
Yeah. So I'm glad that you asked that, because this is when I first set out to create what we now have as our certification. I'm thinking back to all the things that I did, because I had a mentor pressing me like, you think you're a great coach. Like, what is it that you think that you do differently? Do you program differently? Do you plan better? Do you know the science behind it? Do you know anatomy and physiology better? And I think what it came down to, what we identified, is just my ability to connect with other people. And so, you've heard other people like in the business space talk about like the soft skills, what I call the social side of coaching. And so when I looked at everything else that was out in the marketplace at the time that I could find, that I had had experience with, obviously I didn't look at everything, but as much as I could, so much of coaching certification and training was about programming, sets and reps, anatomy, physiology, periodization. And not that that stuff is not important, but the quote that stuck in my head more than anything was Teddy Roosevelt's, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." And so the pyramid that I built for coaching development, instead of it being what I call the biological side of coaching, which is all that stuff, the base of mine is the social side of coaching. So it's like we get onto this podcast and we're not just right into the X's and O's. We're checking in with each other. We're asking about each other's families. Like, we're relating to one another, right? Like, one of the things that I teach is the bridge back. So Blake, I know that you've got a 4-year-old, and I remember you told me something about this 4-year-old. And so I'm going to check in and ask about that. Like, I bridge back to something else. And so that's really the probably the biggest thing that we harp on people more than anything is the social skills, what I call the social side of coaching, and being able to connect human to human versus just thinking X's and O's.
Yeah, that's something really big that we talk about, even in the marketing. People with AI being so big these days that like like at the end of the day, it's never going to replace that human to human connection, right? Just as like you're talking about, like there's no difference if they become a client and treat them that way. You should treat them that way at the start of the cycle when they become a lead, right?
Yeah.
Even if they, like we just talked about being back, right? Be back bus. Even if you remember that a while ago they said they couldn't get started because they were going on a family vacation and it was crazy. And you mentioned, hey, how was your vacation in Florida? And just even that small bit shows you care, right? Like AI is not going to remember that. So I think that's a huge thing, is just like remembering at the end of the day, it is a service-based business, right? And I feel like a lot of gym owners in this day and age get lost, and I just want to automate everything.
Yeah.
I want my check-ins automated, all of that, right?
Yeah. AI and automations, it can do a lot, but they can't build and maintain relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's it. That's a great point. Cause like, I love AI, like what it can help us do and stuff like that. But, like you're saying, I don't think it's going to, Blake always says this: when you call Verizon and you want to talk to someone, or any service provider, what do you do when you want to talk to someone? You start hitting that 0 button because you're trying to get a real person.
Yep.
But I will say, some of these companies have gotten smart. You hit that 0 button too much, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying." Click.
They'll hang up. I noticed that. Now you just have to shout representative.
Correct. Right? Like, it just can't, again, right? Like, and here's the thing that Blake and I are figuring out now, even with, like dealing with a lot of these gyms with the lead nurture and stuff like that. It's okay to have some automations and stuff like that. One of the big things that we hear from people is just like, well, I was talking to someone and an automation went out. A lot of people think like that's like the biggest issue in the world. I'm just like, guys, all you do is say, "Hey, that was an automation. I'm sorry about that." And you consider the conversation, and they're like, "Oh, okay." And that's it. But man, we've had some people just think like, well, I was talking to him, it made me look bad. Like, no, it doesn't. No one cares that much. You're talking to him, something pops up, you're doing your job, they get it. But on the flip side, we try to teach people, or we tell people we know it. If someone figures out that they're texting or emailing you and they figure out it's automation, they're never going to respond again. But because no one's going to talk to a computer like that, right? Like they're just not. They're just, oh no, that's just such and such computer. It's not a real person.
Because I can't it. Yeah,
correct. Like I get, like when I had my gym, I used to get so many. Like I could really tell when someone was really interested because they would say, "Is this a real person or a computer I'm talking to?" Like I had that so many times, and I would see it. This is now that message that probably went to them. That was probably a bot. But then when I respond, no, this is a real person. What are you talking about? Then I know I got him. Right?
Yep.
Correct. But if you think that you're just going to turn on these automations and sit on a beach in Mexico's on my mind. I'm going on a vacation in like a week or so. If you think you're just going to turn on these automations and just not do anything, that's not how it works. And that's what we tell people, working with us, even when you have your systems and all this stuff in place, some of our huge, testimonies are gyms doubling their revenue and stuff like that. It requires you to become a better human. It requires you to become a better business woman or man, because like excellence requires you to level up, right? You just can't. It's just not like, oh yes, Lasso's been great. They helped us go from 20K to 40K in 18 months, but I'm still the same person I was at 20K. Like that's not how it works.
You can't do it. Yeah, it requires a different person.
Correct. That's some of the stuff that we figured out. That's the thing we're figuring out now as well with some of these guys. We're crystal clear when they come in. We always like to ask, okay, what does success look like to you 12, 18 months down the road? Oh, like I want to do this and that. I would love to be here. Okay. What do you think that's going to require of you, right? What is it going to require? Yep. Like not of us, right? Like, yes, we're going to do our best to help you get there. But what do you think it's going to require of you? 9 times out of 10, they're like, oh, I hadn't really thought about that. I don't know.
Helps you level set expectations.
Correct. They're just thinking like, oh, you guys are going to get me all these leads. I'm going to sign all these people up. I'm going to make all this money. And then but when we really dive into it, then people start saying, okay, that's good to know. Like, let me really think about what I want this to look like, because do I want to have to, level up or work that much to get there in that time frame? So yeah, like I love when people have huge goals. We love to help them get there, but I like to make sure they understand that it's going to take like more than just turn on this water hose and then fill up this bucket for me.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yes, sir.
So this is kind of going down the coaching road, but I'm curious because I have my own thoughts on this. But, when you guys are injecting more marketing and sales, like pouring gasoline on that fire into somebody's gym, obviously that's going to, like we were just talking about, it's going to take a new person in order to have a new business. But I, working with gym owners for so long, like I have too, one of the things that we always see is like, oh man, now you're asking for more work out of me. Like I'm not trying to do more, right? In a certain way. Is there ever a time where, obviously Sherman, I brought you down to work with my coaches because I wanted to put them in the sales role, but do you guys tell owners that like, hey, you need to bring this coach on or to put him in the sales role? Like, do you think that that's appropriate for most people, is to say like, hey, your coaches can do this, they just need to be trained how?
Yep. Blake, you want to answer this? You want me to answer it? I'll let you go.
That's kind of like a sales question. I think you can get this more on you.
Yeah. So yes, I definitely think that we try to tell, like if I get on we do the customized sales training with these gyms, helping them. If I get on and I talk to a coach, it's just me and them, the owner's not there. And we're just talking about sales and they're going to be like, listen, like I want to do it, but like, I really don't love this, right? Like I'm just doing it just to do it. I really don't care if they sign up. This is not passion of mine. I love coaching. I'll tell the owner, like, I'm not going to say, hey, get rid of that coach. Like but I'll tell them, hey, listen, I think we should look for someone that's really passionate about this sales thing, because it is going to be conveyed when these people reach out to him. And like you're saying, Josh, this soft side of it, this personal side of it goes a very, very long way, right? Like, I don't think I never got my level 3 or level 4. I got my level 2. But when I coach someone, they love what I did. And it definitely wasn't because I was the smartest trainer out there. But what I lacked in coaching skills and knowledge, I made up on the soft side, right? Like, I'm a people person, like that's my thing. So you have an average, slightly above average coach who has these phenomenal people skills, put them together. And now I could step into anyone's gym across America and coach a class, and people be like, man, that was a great class. Like, okay. And I think that too often people get swayed sort of both ways. It could be like, I'm just going to be all the soft side of stuff. Like, I don't know anything that's going on, but I'm going to be a nice person. Well, that's not it either. And then they could be on the other side. I know all this technical stuff. I don't care about anything else. I don't care what you feel like today. Oh, you had a bad day. I don't care. Get lower in that squat, knees out, chest up. And so you definitely have to find that great balance. But back to your question, your original question. Yes, we definitely tell them. And something that we've really gotten strict on, specifically in lasso hiring, but also with some of our clients, we're pushing them to our guy, Brian Alexander, because he does this predictive
He just
index
had me do that.
Yeah.
It
like,
was
isn't it
unbelievable.
like, isn't it crazy?
Yes.
Because now it's just like, because when you're hiring someone, we all know it. We've all hired people. When you're hiring someone, they'll say, I'll do whatever you want. Like, they need the job. They want the job.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever you want. I'll fold your laundry. I'll pick your kids up from school. Whatever you want, I'll do it. But then as you get going, you figure out that they're doing all this stuff, and they may be doing an okay job of it in the beginning. But if it's draining them and it's not in their just wheelhouse, eventually you're going to run into this problem. Yeah. So, we try to push folks, to Brian, to work with Brian so that they can make sure that they're hiring the right people so that long term, like, it's a win-win for everyone.
Yep.
And I think too, bless his heart. Remember the guy we got on a call with, an older gentleman. He's like in a retired state. He was doing all the sales. Yeah. And like, he was in his 70s, and it's like, this guy should not be the salesperson, right? Like, having a 25, 35-year-old, you just can't relate. Yep. And I think there's a point that like we don't get it when we start at our gym or struggling. We're doing everything, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like this balance of like, you need to figure out how to get somebody else in that role. Yes, it's going to cost you money, but also at the same time, it's going to have that growth. And I think that's the big thing with gym owners. And just to be like, totally transparent, our best clients are the ones that end up coming from like a mentorship program previously, like Two Brain or Stu or Best Hour or whatever it is, because they have the foundation. Because we're not here, and we specifically say, we're not here to be your business mentor. We're here to provide the gas. And we're here, like, we're talking twice a month for 30 minutes. We're looking at that marketing funnel, right? Yep. Like, whereas like, hey, go to Josh Martin and work on that coaching, because you're losing 20 people a month, and we're not here to solve that problem right now. Like, that's just a big other can of worms that you need another program for, right? Yeah. And I think the hard part for gym owners, unless you're doing 25K and above, 2 big fees a month is really, really hard for them. But they don't understand that that's something that's needed. So, so I think that's a big thing overall for gym owners.
Yeah, that's really smart. I like kind of what you said there. Is basically, you guys are super clear that you're not trying to be all things to all people. You're trying to be one thing, right? Like sales and marketing for this specific gym owner, right? Like, not the guys that are just starting out that don't have anything. It's like, we've got a foundation, built that we can start stacking on top of. Otherwise, it's a house of cards just waiting to get blown over.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, for sure. On the flip side of that too, it's like, it's kind of double-edged sword, because even if you're losing 10 a month, but you're only gaining 5, we all know where that's headed. So you got to change something to get some revenue. So it's like, do I just keep letting you got to patch the bucket a little bit, maybe with some duct tape in the meantime, whatever that may be, but you still have to solve that problem, right? Yes. But you also have to solve the problem of like, this is going downhill fast and I'm losing more people than I'm gaining, and this is not good either, right? So it's a hard thing to do. But yeah, our ideal client is always one this isn't something like, this is just a marketing spend that they know they should be doing, right? Like any franchise. So we work with, I don't know if you knew this now, but we work with like a big franchise, Metabolic now, right? And that's
no way. I didn't. Congrats, man. That's awesome, guys.
So we have like probably about 75% of their gyms that work with us. And it's so different from the micro gyms of like, they have to start advertising 3 to 4 months prior. I mean, if you ask every micro gym owner or CrossFit, hey, did you ever advertise before you open your doors?
I never did. I thought unlocking the door on day one was marketing. Isn't that?
Yeah. So it's just crazy. Yeah. And like, it's just the orange theories. And for those people, and you have to spend a certain amount every single month. It's just written in your budget, right? And that should be how every gym owner, knowing that those gyms, the really cool gyms, the Metabolic, the Orange Theories, the F45, that's a requirement.
Yeah.
Well, who do you think is going to grow faster than you?
Yeah, those are the sophisticated businesses, right? Like that's kind of what we're dealing with, right? The differences, right?
Yep. No, for sure.
Blake, let me ask you something. This is selfishly for me, like being a coach's coach here. You're talking about the gym that's like they're gaining 5, but they're losing 10. So they're like, they're really -5 every month. They're on a downslope. To you, is that a coaching problem? I mean, there could be a lot of things going on, but
exactly, right.
Retention, to me, one of the big pieces is certainly coaching, right? Like if your people are not like the basics, right? Like they're not showing up on time or they're not starting on time. They're not just doing the basics, but like if you're not a likable person, I'm not coming to see you at 5:30 in the morning,
And I would say, there's something in there that is people related.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, right? Are you just not checking in with your clients that haven't been in 2 weeks? Are your coaches just jerks? Like, are you just not like, what is going on? Or is the service not great? But it's one of those things that like, we're like, you have an obvious problem, right? But like, let's be honest, gym owners probably don't want to admit what the problem is, right? Like, or the clients aren't even telling them. That's probably the biggest problem, right? Like they leave and like, oh, it's just not working with my schedule. It's like, no, I just don't like coming. That coach is always a jerk to me that I come to class, right? Or like you literally haven't checked in on me in 2 months and I feel like I'm just paying you, whatever it may be. But that's something that like we don't, like we said, we don't try to get into too much. It's like, hey, you do have this problem. It's very clear. Like we talked to one client who, it's like, dude, you just signed up 24 people, but you lost 26. We did our job. We did our job, right?
It's like a real thing.
You had an amazing month. Like,
wow.
Well, I need 30. We're like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. You have to solve the other problem.
Wow.
Right? Because if you solve that problem, you're sitting on a gold mine, but you're focused on the wrong thing. Right. And it's like the excuse, oh, there's this new, like,
oh yeah, they moved or they got injured or it's never the product sucked.
Yeah. And so, but we all know that even back in our mentor days, it's like we couldn't go to the gym and experience it. Yeah. But the gym is always going to say, we have the best coaching, we have the best community, we have the best culture, right? And it's like, I always tell them this. I always told the story about, I heard the owner of Taco Bell and Pizza Hut speak one time, and he's like, don't focus on the 10% problems. Focus on so if you can get real, honest feedback, focus on the one thing that always comes up, right? And I don't feel like gym owners dig deep enough to be like, hey, I really want to make this gym great. Can you just be blunt with me on why you're leaving? And so I can actually change things, even if you still leave, right? And if that keeps coming up that like, hey, this 9 a.m. coach is just a jerk and treats everybody like crap, okay, maybe that's your problem. Or maybe it's simply that like it doesn't seem like you care at all, right? Like whatever it is, but and so, hearing that speech from that guy, and just, that's why they created the Crunchwrap Supreme, because nobody could eat tacos in their car, and became the best seller all the time. But that's the main thing, is focus on the thing that's the biggest problem. And if you fix that, you're probably going to fix your retention. And going to what you do full circle, usually, because you could have a really crappy system and you have amazing coaches and people that like love people, you're going to have really great retention.
Yep.
Because it's hard for them to leave. I don't want to leave that gym. I just feel like we always say nobody joins for the community, but they stay for the
Correct.
community.
Yep.
Right. And so, yeah, I guess for us, like what type of person, for people that like, you know, aren't going to reach out to Brian maybe, which they should, but what, you know, somebody listen to this, like, hey, I'm looking to hire a coach. Who makes a great coach if you're going to interview him? Or like, what would be a great question for a coach?
Oh man. I would just I would love to know, like, if when I'm sitting down, I can remember, I'm trying to think back to like my interview days when I would, you know, coaches would reach out and, you know, hey, I want to come work for you. I would just sit down and have a conversation. Let me know about your experiences. Let me know about things that you have not done well and why you think you didn't do it well. What do you think that you're gifted at? I'm trying to get a sense of, and this is really hard to do in like the short term. And I'm sure, like you said, like Brian can really take you through some of that deeper stuff, but I'm trying to get a sense of, is this person interested in continual growth? Because I think that's super important. And do they take personal responsibility? Like
Yeah.
those two things, like, are you disciplined? And because that's going to tell me, like, are you going to show up on time? Especially if I'm hiring a coach that needs to be there at 5 a.m. to open the gym. I want to know, are you going to be somebody that I can count on? Because it's like one strike and you're out with that class. And I've told people that. And then, yeah, are you continually learning? And if so, what are you learning right now? And what are you planning on learning next? Like, what do you see are the shortcomings that you have that maybe I can help you get better at, or I can tell you where to get better at? I think if I can look at those two things, that's a really great starting point. If I don't have something like a really objective system that Brian does.
Let me ask this, because you said something that's like, because we've all been there when the coach doesn't show up at 5 a.m., right? And then you got to drive to the gym. You got people waiting outside the door. They're super, super mad. You feel like an idiot. Do you have, because I think this is like, do you have a way, a question or a way in a short time of an interview to, and if you don't, that's fine. But I'm thinking like, this is a great question even to ask in any interview. Like, do you take responsibility, right? And like, hey, when is the time that you messed up that like you admitted for it? Like, or something like, have you used anything that has led you to like, oh, I get it, this person gets it?
Yeah. So one of the, because I recognize this in one of my coaches, is I started asking people like, hey man, like if I brought your two best friends in here, and the three of you guys were making a time to go out, would they say that they were going to be waiting on you as the last person ready to go? That's
like that.
usually a telltale sign of like, okay, this is the person who, we're in the car, we're ready to go, we're already late, and they're still getting ready. And I get it, like mistakes happen, oversights or whatever, but if it's once, cool, you get a pass. Twice, that's the beginning of a pattern.
Uh,
Do you
my
show up to church on time, or
my
do you
ma-
have
Yeah.
that walks on late?
my marriage feels attacked right now because I stay waiting for my wife. I stay
Well,
waiting.
You're a smart man, Sherman. You've been married a long time.
Josh, okay, so tell me this before we start wrapping up. What's your ideal client, right? Like, what's your ideal client for? Because I know people here listening to this episode, we've been talking about a lot, but they may be asking the question, okay, like who does Josh really work with? Who can he help? I think I may need help from Josh, but I'm not really sure. So who would be the ideal client for you?
And I would add on that. And what does it look like when they start, and then what does success look like to them?
Yeah. So we've gotten really good, not by design, but just kind of by circumstance at delivering our certification to two people. The first group of people is brand new coaches. So gyms, are bringing new coaches in. They go to the level one. They realize the level one doesn't actually teach them to coach. It just allows them to be coached, which I had somebody give me that light bulb moment over the past couple months. I never thought about it that way, but maybe I should have, or I was too close to it and I couldn't see it. Anyway, so they're a brand new coach and they actually need to know how. Like, how do I put this stuff into practice? When somebody walks in, what do I say? When somebody sits down with me, what do I say? What do I ask them? So, brand new coaches that don't have any experience. The second group is a coach with experience, with enough experience to be frustrated that they can't connect with their clients to make a true impact. Because it's one thing to show up day after day after day and coach thrusters and pull-ups and running and deadlifts and all these things. But, you know, when people stop showing up, when people start giving you excuses for why things aren't happening, this goes way deeper than just the sets and reps and the program design. It's the psychological side of coaching. It's being able to connect with those people. And that's really the way that true impact is made.
I like that. I like
And
that.
then Blake, I think your question was like, what's it look like when they start, and then success. So what it looks like when they start is our course is entirely online, and it's videos of me teaching with a workbook that you fill in, so it's active learning. But then you don't move forward until you take the action that's in the homework. So it's you watch and learn this thing. Like, we teach questions to ask, like that you could consider in a consultation or a no sweat intro or the sales process. Like, start asking these questions to your friends, your family. Just get comfortable having these actual conversations. And then when you've done that, you go on to the next module. And so it's broken up into the three sides of coaching: the social, psychological, and biological side. But the biggest thing that people come away with, and 100%, this is the term that they use, is I've got confidence that I know what I'm doing. Like, that is success. I can stand in front of a one person or a group of people and know that I'm actually making a difference for that hour.
So you said something. So is your program totally online? Is it one-on-one coaching that you work with the business coach? I know that you are a mentor to right
Yeah,
too, but
yeah.
like, is this just strictly just all online? Is there
Yeah. So we did have mentorship at a time that was one on one, but it just became a big barrier to entry, and not a barrier to entry, but a barrier to completion,
Yeah.
because I'm sure you guys know it. Working with micro gyms mainly is these are not full time coaches, and so what that means is they're doing it part time because they love it. They had some sort of transformation. They want to pay it forward. They want to make an impact on somebody like them. But it also
Yep.
means that they've got a full-time job that doesn't allow them a
outside of it?
ton of space and time to do these extra things on top of their coaching duties. So to kind of remove that barrier, we just said, look, let's take the best, let's strip it down to what the best stuff is, make sure that we're compelling action. And that's been awesome.
Yeah, and I think that's even thinking through that, because at first I was like, oh, one-on-one, but that's a huge ask, right, of a coach to get on separate times. But it also eliminates that barrier, but also, like, you go back to what you're saying about furthering their own education. It shows you that, like, that they are, like, if they're like, hey, I haven't completed anything in a month, you're like, dude, what's going on here, right? But so it really, as the gym owner, gives you a way to, like, hey, here's this extra resource that I really want you to be a better coach. And it's going to show that, like, hey, they take this serious and they want to do that, or they just keep making excuses too, right?
Yep.
Which in itself is, like, any online course, like, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're working through it, it shows that, like, hey, I'm actually wanting to learn this. So
yeah,
there's
I don't know the exact statistic, but it's something like in the online course world, less than like 20% of courses actually get completed. And ours is over 90%.
That's good.
So that's encouraging to me, just as a coach of coaches, that these people are invested in actually making a difference.
Yeah.
And I'll add a little plug for you in this. Like, we've known you for a long time. Josh does amazing work, an amazing guy. So if you guys are looking for something to help your coaches, this is something that is not asking like a massive thing that they have to get on one-on-one, that they actually can do and get value out of to become better, which is only going to help your business.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, we're gonna wrap up. Josh, last thing. What if someone wants to get in contact with you? How do they find you? How do they get in contact with you?
So they can either visit our website, therefinedartofcoaching.com, or send me an email, josh@therefinedartofcoaching.com.
All right. Well, thanks, man. It was great catching up.
You too, guys. Thank you.
I'm pretty sure we'll talk again sometime soon. But guys, as usual, tell a friend to tune in, and we will chat with you guys next week. All right.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast with Blake Ruff and Sherman Merricks. We hope you enjoyed. We believe marketing should increase revenue and not waste money. So book your free call today. Head on over to lassoframework.com. That's lassoframework.com and find the right words, get more customers, and increase your revenue. We'll see you here next time.